and when he came to Center of Enlightenment in 2006, he knew this was the place for him. He was married in this very church in 2009, and he was ordained on February 2016 as a minister at Center of Enlightenment. In 2020, he was appointed as senior minister by Reverend Ken Nowoczewski. He has also had many roles in this church, serving as trustee, vice president, and president, education committee head, sacred circle, all kinds of things. He's very involved here. And I always love his sermons because they always express such inspiration. So without further ado, I give you Reverend Keith.
You ready, Marie? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My sermon today is called The Magic of Christmas, and it's based on the movie The Polar Express. Now, for many of you, or most of you probably have heard about the Polar Express, but we'll give it a quick run through. The Polar Express is a Christmas story about a boy who reached an age where he begins to have his doubts about believing in Santa. Late one Christmas Eve, the boy is laying awake waiting for the sound of sleigh bells from Santa's sleigh to top the roof. 5 minutes to midnight, the room begins to shake, and he hears a thunderous sound outside his window. The boy jumps up from the bed, wondering what's going on, and sees a train coming down the middle of the street. The boy grabs his robe and rushes out the front door to look at that train. The train's conductor asks the boy if he's getting aboard. The boy asks, "Well, where are you going?" "To the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express." As the train begins to depart, the boy runs alongside the train and at the very last minute possible, jumps on the train, where he discovers other young boys and girls also going to the North Pole. Their adventure begins. On the train, he meets lots of other children. And of course, among them is a clever young girl and a poor boy and a know-it-all. During the trip to the North Pole, there are several complications that all three of them interact before the end of the journey when they arrive at the North Pole. And when they reach the North Pole, they meet Santa Claus, and the boy happens to get picked to get the first gift of Christmas. When Santa asks the boy what he would like for Christmas, the boy answers that what he wanted more than anything was a sleigh bell from Santa's sleigh. Santa gets one of the elves to cut one of the silver bells from the reindeer's harness and hands it to the boy. As the story continues, the children get back on the Polar Express to return to their homes just in time for Christmas Day. Shortly after boarding the train, the boy realizes that his bell is gone. It fell through a hole in his pocket and is no longer in his possession. Needless to say, he's heartbroken. Later that morning, as the boy and his sister finish opening the gifts, his sister finds one last little tiny box hidden under the tree with the boy's name on it. Upon opening the box, the boy discovers that inside the box was his silver bell. Inside the box, there was also a note. "I found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket." The note was signed Mr. C. As he shook the bell, it made the most beautiful sound he had ever heard for him and his sister. But their mother and father couldn't hear it. "Oh, that's too bad," his mother said. "Yeah, too bad," the father said. "It must be broken." And the last page of the book reads, "At one time, my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent to them. Even Sarah, the young boy's sister, found one Christmas she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old and the bell rings for me still, it does for all who truly believe." A few years ago, around Christmas, the bell fell silent for me. That year, I was informed that we were not getting a Christmas bonus nor a raise because of something that I said no to at work. I was angry and crushed. What a way to start the Christmas season. Bah humbug. I became both the Grinch and Ebenezer Scrooge. I couldn't stand anything Christmas related that year. I couldn't wait for Christmas to be over. It was terrible because it wasn't who I was. But then, I don't know, one day I kind of wanted to do something different to help me try and get in the Christmas spirit. So I went out and bought about 10 or 15 Christmas DVDs up at Best Buy. I literally walked away from work for like 2 hours and went to Best Buy and shopped, just finding every Christmas movie I could. So that year, Fiona and I, my wife, started a tradition that in the house, we watch a classic Christmas movie every night throughout the month of December and leading into January. When I say classic movies, I'm referring to that black and white movies from the 40s and 30s, 40s, and 50s, actually. Films like Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life, The Bells of St. Mary's. The list now is 37 titles long. And Reverend Lisa does have a handout that she'll be passing out of all the movies that we have in our possession that we watch throughout the holiday season. So going back to this, the year I didn't get a Christmas bonus, we spent the evenings watching the old classics to try and cheer ourselves up. Well, as we watched The Grinch, which is always one of my favorites, there was a pivotal moment in that movie that made a profound impact on me. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. In the movie, when the Grinch had his thought, his turning point began. Here, the Grinch is finally beginning to realize that in his little heart, that maybe Christmas isn't about the presents. There's so much more. We all have a little bit of Grinch in us in these days, especially this time of year. It's easy to get caught up in our own stuff. The stress of going to work, coming home, buying everyone's presents, and finalizing your Christmas list comes down and hits you hard sometimes. Without even realizing it, the holiday slips right past us and we forget what it's all about. The Grinch does know what he's talking about when it comes, what he says that Christmas doesn't come from a store. It's not about the toys or the clothes or the newest electronic gadgets. It's so easy to be greedy during Christmas time, but it's so hard to be generous. As a cliche as it sounds, it's about giving back and spending time with the people you love. All the boxes and presents with the ribbons and wrapping paper can put a smile on anyone's face, but it doesn't matter what's under the tree. It matters who's around it. Take a moment to reflect on Christmas of the past. Do you recall or remember what presents you actually got for any given year? Maybe there's one or two that stick out the most, but most people won't be able to recall most of the gifts they've received over the years. Now take a moment to reflect on all those Christmas of the past. Think about all the good times celebrating with family. It's often the only time of the year that everyone in the family in the same place at the same time. Amidst our busy everyday lives in the hustle bustle world we live in, our families are our constant. It's the best time of the year to show our appreciation and love for them, as well as spend time with them since it's so hard to do so other times of the year. The holidays are a busy time, no doubt about it, but take a minute to look around, step back from your own Christmas list and wait a second before going to the mall to buy your loved ones gifts. Christmas doesn't come from a store. It comes from the love we show one another, not through material things, but through our hearts, our words, and our actions. It's about making memories with the family. That's the true magic of Christmas. It's called the season of giving, not the season of receiving. For a reason, give back to your community, to your friends, and your family. Not through tangible objects, but through yourself. Just think, even the Grinch returned all those gifts that he stole from the Who's after his change of heart. Even Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol has a change of heart once he's shown the past, present, and his future through a series of visions. When we first meet Scrooge, he's ungrateful, miserable old bugger, but by the end of the story, he realizes how many people he's hurt and how many people, including his own family, think he's just a miserable old man. That was me the year I didn't get a bonus. I was angry, miserable, But the more I thought about it, the more I refused to let it get to me. Our seventh spiritual principle states that we make our own happiness or unhappiness. So I didn't get a bonus. As much as it hurt, I still had my wife and our awesome kids. We have a roof over our heads, heat in the house, electricity, and food in the fridge. We have both caring and loving families. As hard as it was, we were honest with the kids and told them that I didn't get a bonus that year, so there wouldn't be a lot under the tree that year. I think it was harder on us than the kids. The kids were totally understanding and fine with it. But that year we sat around as a family, ate a ton of food, watched movies, and had a great time anyways. In the end, it wasn't about what was under the tree. It was about who was in that room. That year made me a different person. Every Christmas since then has been more and more magical for me. Now Christmas for us is about making memories and being together as a family. In the past, we've gotten together as a family and gone to the Christmas tree farm to cut our own tree. We've gone to Huckleberry Railroad to ride the Christmas train. It's about making memories. It could be something as simple as getting everyone together to bake and decorate cookies. Doesn't need to be expensive. It could be sitting around watching classic Christmas movies. In closing, remember it's not about the dollars spent, the number of gifts you receive, but about making memories with the family. It's about believing in the magic of Christmas. If you truly believe in the magic of Christmas, you should be able to hear the most beautiful sound coming from the bell. Do you believe? To quote Santa Claus in the Polar Express, the bell is a wonderful symbol of the spirit of Christmas, as am I. Just remember the true spirit of Christmas lives in your heart. Thank you for listening today, and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you.
Well,